Resolution 100421, authorizing the contract with R&R General Contractors. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. I'm sorry in some regards that Board Member Van Broekelen had to leave because the story here is obviously a straightforward contract to be able to do the Civic Drive MAX light rail station. That's right there at the school at the south end, or pardon me, the west end of Gresham. The reason why I mentioned Board Member Van Broekelen is that right now, as we are working on the Portland to Milwaukee light rail issue, one in her district is a station that we would not look toward, at least had been suggested to be able to be a station, but determined that really wasn't ready yet. That is, the demand would not produce enough ridership. Likewise, on the east side, this was a station that actually the platform, the concrete platform for the station had been there, but was never built out until there was enough redevelopment that occurred in that western end of Gresham. That is now occurring. It is time to be able to build this out, and the development plans for that by Gresham to be able to really do continued development in this area really make this station now ready to come online. I think it underscores, and again, for those people who are looking at current Portland and Milwaukee, that we do live up to our promises to, when the time is right, that we actually go ahead and expand those station platforms, in this case here at the Civic Drive MAX light rail station. With that, we urge your approval.
And the motion.
So moved.
Second. Is that discussion?
Question.
Yes.
Go ahead. Okay. Ms. Hanson, when I looked at this contract, and I know traditionally when we accept bids, we take the lowest bidder. But one thing that's always bothered me about bids and contractors is change orders that sometimes occur as soon as you sign the bid that raises the price back beyond what you initially were getting from some of the others. And in this one, I wrestled a little bit because what I see is R&R about $13,000 off of the middle bid, but have the opportunity to go up to $200,000 in change orders. And I'm wondering, the process is we have to take the lowest bidder, but this seems to be a little bit close for me, and such a large amount left over for change orders to come in. And can you help me understand why such a large change order on the back end?
I would be very happy to. First off, I think you've been sitting too close to Member Lervon, running off. That would have been probably his question as well. It certainly has been in the past. Let me be very explicit. We consider that change orders, if any are authorized, they explicitly reflect changes that we have made that are not beyond, or that are beyond the control of that contractor. Either something they might find physically that was not expected, if they were doing excavation and so on, heavier rock or various other things. But in anything that is a legitimate portion of their risk, we do not allow for change orders. This are a reimbursement for changes that are incurred by them, or costs that are incurred by them. Likewise, if we make a change to the original bid's requirements, it is appropriate that we reimburse appropriately for that. And that is all that would be done here. We have done this as a way just not to be able to give us some flexibility. But very frankly, it is not impossible that we would cut out and could cut out the change order and merely have it be approved only by you. That's not what we're recommending here, but that would be I'd ask Neil McFarland if you'd like to add to that, since this is a contract within your operation.
Absolutely. The only thing that I would add is that this was actually a two-step procurement where we actually went through and sought qualified contractors who we knew understood what they were getting into, made sure they understood the scope of work and what our understanding was. And it's very important to us that we have that understanding before we then ask for a low bid. So while there are no guarantees in the real world when you get into construction, as Fred noted, water lines can appear in funny places, as can Volkswagen-sized boulders, that frankly we would be responsible for the cost of this. But those are the kinds of things that we would expect the change order allowance to be used for, if you will not, any sort of equalization of the pricing after after award. And I hope that helps.
Thank you.
You know, all in your bid documents, are all contractors aware of the size of the potential change orders, or is that disclosed in that process?
It's not disclosed in that process, and it is, if you will, an internal reserve that's kept. And it's, again, it's a cautious budgeting process that we use to make sure that the funds are going to be available to complete the job in just about any circumstance.
Yeah, Neil, please stay there just a minute. Yeah. Thank you, Fred. You bet. I've raised this before, and I'll piggyback off the doctor with his comments. But that did catch my attention to the small amount between the second. And I believe in best value bidding, not low bidder, because you get a better bang for your buck in best value bidding. Sometimes we pay the price in getting the low bidder. But was there some big difference between Emmerich and R&R? That's what I'm looking at too. Was there a big difference why we went with the low bidder and I would look at best value?
Only the sort of the rules of the procurement, which is that given everything being equal, the lower price is the better choice. But again, I would say that was based on the knowledge that we had if you will, qualified the three firms. That's probably the wrong technical term, but we had actually gone through a first step to make sure that these firms were quality businesses that we could work with. And frankly, during that first step was also when we talked to them about disadvantaged business and workforce expectations, and so that we make sure that they all have the same rules of the area. I look at the closeness of the pricing a little bit differently, which is that we have pretty good bid documents because we had two contractors who essentially provided what one might say is the same price, looking at the documents exactly the same way. When I frankly worry more is when there's a wide swing between the contractors because they're looking at the bid documents and they're not seeing the same thing. So to some extent, this is really very good news in terms of the way that the closeness, the grouping of the pricing within this process.
Oh, and you know, before Neil, I have a question when they come for overcost with you. I have questioned this before, and I'm glad you joined me on that because we will watch this. Yeah, we will watch this. Yeah, we don't want to see them coming back and back. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Quick question. Dr. Bethel mentioned the lowest bidder. That's not necessarily our policy.
It is not our general. I would say that probably most, at least our large contracts, are done in what we call the general contractor CMGC, Construction Manager General Contractor style contract, which is a combination of qualifications and price. But we, frankly, in this case, are partners on this. We're Metro and City Gresham, and they felt much more comfortable with the more traditional low bid aspect. But we made sure that was tempered, if you will, with the two-step process to make sure that we could get the qualities that belonged in a contractor as we move forward. So that's why we used this particular approach for this contract.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?